from opening his account as the reigning world champion as a winner here in the new 23 season.
Yeah, it's a disaster beyond our imagination, isn't it? In the UK, fortunately, we don't suffer from these things, and the devastation is incredible. And Toprak Razgatlıoğlu, obviously a Turkish rider, doing everything he can here to fly the flag high as he starts. Now the
Chip season is go in Australia. Gardner, excellent start. Locatelli, an even better start. And Bautista with that Ducati power is leading into turn one. Toprak is second. Jonathan Rea up to third ahead of Andrea Locatelli. Yamaha's all over the place with Agata making an excellent start as well and just dropping behind Alex Lowe's now. Down into fifth position goes Domi Agata. Bautista is leading, Rea is second, and then it's the leading Yamaha in third place. Alex Lowe's attacks Toprak. Look at the spray. You really do have an advantage to be the leader in these circumstances.
Yeah, the experience has just come to the front of this World Superbike race already as they go into Miller's. Agata losing a couple of positions, but that's understandable. I don't think he would have ever ridden. No, as Alex just gets contact there with Toprak Razgatlıoğlu around Miller's corner. They both get away with it, but I was just saying, I don't think Agata would have raced here on a Superbike on Pirelli wet tyres, so he'll be learning so much on this opening lap.
Yeah, Jonathan Rea had a big moment coming out of the hairpin as well, and nearly ran straight into the back of Alvaro Bautista. It's those three at the front again then, the so-called Titanic trio. Bautista leads, Rea second. Can he go around the outside? He's trying to, and Lowe's is doing to Toprak what he did to Bautista last year. Lowe's goes round, and the big moment, and Jonathan's attacking Bautista down into MG. Rea on the left, Bautista on the right. Jonathan Rea leads in Australia.
Brilliant move there from the six-time world champion, and also his teammate moves into a podium position. The Kawasaki's looked like they were struggling ever so much in the dry conditions, but in the wet conditions, it looks like they're getting a lot of feel as they come around the last corner. The rear just starting to slide underneath Alex Lowe's Kawasaki, but didn't seem to hinder his corner speed as they go down the start and finish for the first time at full speed, and Jonathan Rea still in the lead.
4 times a podium finisher here, Alex Lowe's. He's always brilliant in Australia. He won on his first Kawasaki weekend here 3 years ago, and he left Australia as the World Championship leader. Look at that river, once again, running across the track there between turns 1 and 2. Agata now under attack from his GRT teammate, Remy Gardner, both of them in their first World Superbike race. Redding's up there on the BMW as he attacks now as well, trying to make the most of these wet conditions, but we know BMW, like Honda, are really struggling at the moment over full race distance. There's Locatelli, he's had a really good, strong pre-season.
We know how good the BMW is in the rain as well. Let's not forget the Portimao result for Van der Mark. What a result that was, and also the Donington Park wet weather races as well for Tom Sykes, wasn't it, a couple of years ago? So the BMW in rain conditions is a bit of a weapon as he comes out of Siberia now. It looks like the Australian Remy Gardner is just holding. Oh, Bassani out of the seat as Van der Mark goes underneath at the hay shed.
Yeah, great move from Van der Mark. There and down goes Van der Mark on the BMW. A wonderful move. It was too wonderful. Michael Van der Mark is the first retirement this year.
That is fast. The hay shed, it's a fast, and that bike will not be able to continue. There's never a bike that crashes on that particular corner that's not damaged too much to continue the race, so that is Van der Mark out of the first race here at Phillip Island.
Same part of the track where Jonathan Rea crashed out of round 1 here when he was fighting back through the field after that off, when he was pushed off by Tom Sykes in 2020. There's Toprak. He won his first Yamaha race here in 2020. Jonathan Rea won his first Kawasaki race here in 2015. Bautista won his first Ducati race here in 2019. It's Jonathan Rea leading, Bautista second, Lowe's, Toprak, Locatelli. This is Domi Agata with Axel Bassani behind him. Then it's Gardner, Ertel, Petrucci and Michael Van der Mark out of the race in the biggest possible way.
Oh, really unlucky. Look, he just comes out of the hay shed just on the right-hander, and there's not many right-hand corners here, and he might have just been struggling for temperature, and he was going a lot faster than the riders in front of him, especially trying to get underneath Remy Gardner through that section.
And after breaking his leg really badly last year, his right leg first in pre-season testing and then again at Estoril, the last thing he needed back up to full fitness was a big crash like that. Let's hope he's okay. There's Danilo Petrucci having a go at Lecuona as Lecuona goes through on Ertel. Petrucci goes through on Ertel. Honda, Ducati all locked together. Petrucci then, his first ever wet race, his first ever World Superbike race in the wet conditions, and look how rider talent comes to the fore in weather like this. And the man who's won 2 MotoGP races. Second last year in Motor America. He's gone from Michelin tyres to Dunlop tyres and now to Pirelli rubber here in World Superbikes.
Well, this will be like Barbados where they compete to the Dakar, so this shouldn't be a problem at all, these conditions. Lecuona, though, looking pretty aggressive. He looks like he wants to go a bit faster than that Honda does at times, I've seen, in pre-season testing and yesterday. He looks like he wants to go a bit quicker than it, and it's come off a few times. And let's see if he can keep his composure here. But Jonathan Rea now starting to just eke out at least a dozen bike lengths on Alvaro Bautista. We know how good the Ducati is in the wet, but Jonathan Rea last year at Magny-Cours and other places where there was a rare bit of rain was unbelievably strong.
7 times a race winner here in Australia, 118 times a race winner in his blisteringly fantastic World Superbike career so far. There's Bautista, he's still on it, isn't he, James, in that second place. Fastest lap then for Rea so far, a 1:42.173. His good mate Kev Havenhand, I know, watching at home now, having been replaced this year as he's retired from being Jonathan's right-hand man by Jonathan's brother, one of his brothers, Chris, who's now working with him in the paddock full-time this season, and they'll be loving this.
This is where the world champions take advantage of these conditions to give yourself an opportunity of earning 25 points. 25 points in the dry was not really on the cards, was it, for any Kawasaki on the grid here this weekend with how the free practices were going. But in these conditions, like we saw in the Supersport, I'll not give the results away, I'll not spoiler, but it can throw a leveler up to these riders as Alex Lowe's gets it a little bit squirmish out of Siberia there, trying to get on the traction as Toprak Razgatlıoğlu starting to close in.
Yes, Toprak, who of course took Lowe's place out to the Yamaha team when Lowe's went to Kawasaki, and Toprak moved from a Kawasaki with the Pochetti team the other way to Yamaha in 2020, and all sorts of changes on the electronic front as well. Davide Gentile, who used to be with Yamaha, went to Kawasaki. He's gone back to Yamaha this season to join Toprak's crew, but then you've got Christoph Lambert and Sander Donkers who've moved across to Kawasaki, so quite a lot of movement of personnel in the paddock on the electronics front. And Jonathan Rea said that's a big change for Kawasaki. They've also got a new homologation as well. They might not have got the extra 500 revs, but they've definitely got a torquier engine. Is it enough, though, to keep the Yamaha back? It is so far on the start-finish straight, and Toprak's on the wrong side if they get down to turn 1, but he's much later on the brakes, and he's ahead.
Didn't make a difference to him, did it? Beautiful move from the Turkish rider, and the triumphant trio hit the front again. Alex Lowe's didn't give it up easily, though, as Toprak just closed the door into the southern loop, turn 2. Got to be really patient just over the hill, but once again, in World Superbikes, it's Jonathan Rea, Bautista and Toprak in the lead of a Superbike race.
Tom Sykes in his 350th World Superbike race, and his return to the series after a year in BSB is pitting, and there's a problem there on the Pochetti Kawasaki. Michael van der Mark's BMW is out. Tom Sykes' Pochetti Kawasaki out of the race. Side by side there in the background, that was Iker Lecuona and Danilo Petrucci. And no, it was Lecuona and Agata. Lecuona's gone ahead of Domi Agata, and he's up into 7th.
Yeah, good. The Honda rider has been unbelievably quick at times. He was quickest in one of the pre-practice sessions. I remember, I think it was FP1. He was the quickest rider. Bassani just starting to go exceeding track limits there, nearly onto the curbs. You don't want to be touching the white lines through the hay shed. It's really fast through there. We saw what happened to Van der Mark as he comes down. MG, it's been a tough winter for the young Italian. He's not really gone his way. He's not got used to the 2023 Ducati. It's got the old exhaust system on. As you can see, it's very different to the two factory boys with the 2 single exhaust systems coming out the back. He's got a different exhaust system on that. But yeah, he's not found this form, but he's riding really well in these really dodgy conditions.
Yeah, you're talking about exceeding track limits, and the official bulletin that went out here early in the week saying there's only 2 places you can actually gain an advantage by doing that here, and it's the exit of the last corner at the top of the screen, and the exit at the hairpin at turn 4, and the amount of standing water is getting worse there, as you saw for Lecuona running over the top of it. Then it is Bassani in there with Eggerter, sorry, Bassani ahead of them, then it's Lecuona, there's Eggerter, Petrucci, and this is Gardner versus Redding, and of course they won't have raced each other before. Scott Redding cuts through, great stuff from the BMW rider, and he takes the GRT Yamaha, and that then now is a top 10 for Redding.
Yeah, nice, this is all they can do, achieving around this circuit. I know Rinaldi's not doing so good on paper, but for those 2 guys to be in front of Rinaldi in these conditions on their first time out is really impressive.
The problem for Rinaldi Rinaldi is that it's not just Bautista leading. He's got Bassani on a Moto Corsa Ducati in 5th position, Petrucci on the Barney Spark bike in 7th position, Ertel on the Go 11 Ducati in 10th place, and this man, the Aruba factory team, down in 14th place. Redding's losing positions now badly as well. Petrucci's up to 7th. Vierge's just gone through and taken 8th. There's a bird I've noticed there on the right-hand side of the picture on the grass, just before the braking zone for the hairpin. I hope it stays on the grass. We had 4 red flags here caused by the geese alone on Monday. Often an issue here during tests in Australia. Never quite an issue, quite so much, luckily, in the races. There's more bikes around on the track altogether, more noise, and of course more spectators in the venue as well.
Doesn't look like the number 1 on front of the Ducati is piling any unnecessary pressure onto the shoulders of Alvaro Bautista here, the world champion, putting in an unbelievable, consistent, calm, collected performance here at the first race of his championship that he's trying to retain.
Lap 20 of 22 here in Australia, and this is race winning and potentially championship winning race pace for number 19, turned number 1 this year, Alvaro Bautista on the Aruba Ducati, on his merry way to what would be the first victory of the season, to lead the World Championship in his title defence. Is he going to do the honours here in Australia? It would be his 33rd career win if he can.
Yeah, Toprak was a couple of tenths quicker than Jonathan on that last lap, but I think with only 2.5 laps to go, I think Jonathan is going to be safe unless he makes any mistakes from here. And making mistakes when you haven't got possibly traction control and a quick shift is not difficult to do. So fingers crossed he'll keep his composure and his concentration, because this will be one of the hardest earned 20 points that Jonathan Ray's career will have ever had to put a shift in for. It's unbelievable, this round.
I suppose as well you have to quickly overcome the annoyance and the pure frustration of the fact that you've lost the race because of that, and then just get your head down. I can't imagine how difficult that must be.
But he will be actually appreciative of the 20 points, because I think in the dry conditions he would have struggled to get 20 ahead of this man, Toprak Razgatlıoğlu and Bautista. And, you know, there was a lot of other people knocking on the door at the race pace that the Kawasaki had over the weekend, including Agata, and who else was it, with Locatelli as well. Rinaldi in the dry was very, very fast as well, so, and also Alex Lowe. So I'm sure even with the frustration that Jonathan's feeling, he will be quite relieved if he does pick up the 20 points.
Yes, it was quite funny here on Friday. Quite a lot of people who probably should know better, it's easy for me to say, were saying, what's going on with Ray, what's going on with Toprak? They're so far outside the top 10, but obviously they managed to get some good race simulations in the test on Monday and Tuesday. Very unusual set of circumstances here in Australia to have a test like that on the same circuit you're about to race on. So they used all of Friday to focus on race simulations as opposed to one-lap pace. You can see the Turkish flag there on the white part of the fairing just to the left as you look at it, of Toprak's number 54, of course, very much mindful of the devastating events of all of those earthquakes in Turkey and indeed Syria over the last few days. And Toprak's had a really emotional roller coaster of events. He's been helping pull people out of the wreckage of fallen buildings. He's even been sleeping in a car, as many people have, because they're too afraid to sleep in the buildings. And James, to have put that to one side, to come here to Australia, to have taken pole and now potentially a podium, a really impressive performance from Toprak, but an even more impressive performance by Bautista here. He's now just 1 lap and 1 corner away from opening his account as the reigning world champion, as a winner here in the new 23 season.
Yeah, it's a disaster beyond our imagination, isn't it, in the UK. Fortunately, we don't suffer from these things, and the devastation is incredible. And Toprak Razgatlıoğlu, obviously a Turkish rider, doing everything he can here to fly the flag high as he starts now the last lap of the first race here in World Superbikes here at Phillip Island, and the world champion is putting a world champion's performance in.
Well, it was 1,463 days ago when he came here to Australia, his first outing in World Superbikes, and he did the treble, and it's looking jolly good for another treble, isn't it, this weekend? What about this, though? It's the fight for 7th and 8th places. Danilo Petrucci, he'll be really pleased with this. Self-confessed OCD maniac. I like that. He says he doesn't like leaving home until the TV remote control is at a right angle with the corner of the coffee table. I love that sort of organisation, and he'll be loving his 7th place, but he's got to keep Vierge behind him. Why are you laughing?
I hope no one buys him a round coffee table. I don't know where to go with that one. Bautista through the hayshed for the final time. Barring no mistakes, he will be victorious here in the first race at Phillip Island, and it will be the first victory of a #1 plate on a Ducati since I was running around all those years ago in 2005. Wow. It's been a long time since a #1 on a Ducati has won a race, and he has been brilliant. Bautista was amazing last year, and as I say, the winter has been unbelievable. The changes that Ducati have made to the Ducati have got better and better.
He's going to move ahead of Chaz Davis. He's going to move ahead of Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. He's going to equal Australia's very own Troy Corser to move into the top 6 with his 30